Have you ever been alone in a room and still felt like someone was watching you? Heard your name whispered when no one was around? What if that voice wasn't your imagination, but something trapped waiting for someone like you? Tonight, you'll hear the story of Ayaan, who entered a silent room to study and never came out the same. It was the beginning of winter break, and most of the students had gone home. But Ayaan, a quiet, hardworking literature major, decided to stay back to prepare for his final thesis. He wasn't into parties, and the silence of the empty campus gave him peace, except peace is not what he found. On a Tuesday evening, after finding every usual study spot either under renovation or locked up, he asked the aging librarian if there were any quiet rooms still accessible. The librarian hesitated, visibly uncomfortable. "There is one room," she said cautiously. "East Wing, room 13, but it's old, disused. No one's gone in there for years." "Perfect," Ayaan smiled. "I just need quiet." The librarian handed him a rusted key. "Just don't stay too long." Ayaan walked down the East Wing hallway. The lights flickered and the air grew colder with every step. Room 13 was at the very end its door, covered in dust, like no hand had touched it in a long time. The number plate hung crooked, and the brass doorknob was unusually cold. He pushed the door open, and immediately a stale breeze greeted him. The room had old wooden floors, a single cracked window, and a large table at the center. No cobwebs, no rats, just silence. Heavy, unnatural silence. Ayaan sat down, plugged in his laptop, and began typing. 10 minutes in, he heard it soft, almost indistinguishable. "Ayaan." He looked up. The hallway was empty. He stood and opened the door to check no one. He shook it off. "Sleep deprivation," he muttered. But the whisper came again. This time from inside the room. "Ayaan, help me." The voice was neither male nor female. It sounded like it had been soaked in sorrow for centuries. He looked at the walls, the corners, the ceiling. Nothing. Trying to ignore it, he returned to his work, but the air had changed. The room felt tighter. He could hear the creaking of the wood beneath him, even though he wasn't moving. Then his laptop screen glitched, just for a moment. A flash. A pale, distorted face appeared in the black reflection of the screen. Hollow eyes, a mouth stretched too wide. He slammed the laptop shut. "Ayaan." Now it was clearer, closer, right behind him. He spun around. Nothing. He rushed to the door, grabbed the handle. Locked. Hadn't locked it. Panic crept into his chest. He banged on the door. No sound came from outside. It was like the room had swallowed noise itself. Then the scratching began. On the far wall, faint lines etched themselves, slowly, as if carved by invisible fingers. He watched in horror as the words formed. "You heard me. Now you're part of me." He backed away, heart thundering. The lights flickered above him, casting twitching shadows across the floor. Then the cold hit him like a wave. So cold that his breath came out in mist. He turned only to see the same pale face emerging from the wall, not painted, not projected. Emerging, like flesh pushing through soft plaster. Its eyes were soulless pits. Its mouth opened, and instead of a scream, came a whisper. "Join us." Ayaan stumbled back, knocking over his chair. The face sank back into the wall, disappearing like it had never been there. He tried calling someone. His phone was dead. Desperate, he rushed to the window, painted shut. It wouldn't budge. But what chilled him most was the outside. The world looked frozen, like time had stopped. No wind, no birds, no light except a dim gray wash dot. It was as if the room had disconnected from reality. Room 13 wasn't always silent. 30 years ago, it was a study hall used by top students. Among them was Layla, A brilliant girl who was last seen entering room 13 during her finals. She never came out. The room was locked for weeks. When the staff finally forced the door open, they found it empty. No signs of struggle, no blood. Number: Lella. Only her notebook was left behind. Inside. The last page read, "It speaks to me when I'm alone." Since then, every few years, someone enters that room and never comes out. Or comes out broken, mumbling, whispering, or never speaking again. Ayaan didn't know that story, but he was now living it. Suddenly, the walls began to pulse, if breathing. The room was a live dot and it wanted him. The whispers turned into a low chant. Dozens of voices, trapped ones, calling him. "Ayaan, join us." He backed into the corner, arms over his head, trembling. Then, silence. Not peaceful silence, dead silence. The kind that feels like the world has stopped spinning. The door creaked open. He looked up. The hallway beyond was dark, but visible. Freedom. He crawled to the door, slowly, cautiously. He crossed the threshold and the hallway snapped back into reality. Lights turned on. The sounds of distant footsteps returned, but something came back with him. That night, in his dorm room, he tried to sleep. But the whisper returned, not from the walls, from inside his head. "You left me, but I followed," he screamed. But no one heard him. From that night on, Ayaan changed. He stopped talking to friends, grew pale, afraid of silence, afraid of rooms with no windows. He said the voice was still with him, always whispering, watching. One night, he disappeared. Just like LAILA. Gone. Only his laptop was found in room 13 open to a Word document. It read, "You heard me? Now you're next. If you ever visit a school, college, or library, and find a door marked room 13, ... single quotes, T open it, ... no matter how quiet it seems, because some rooms don't stay empty. They wait for someone who listens."